My name is Mark. This is Zen Talk, and we are talking about Zazen. So, what is Zazen? In the practice of Zen, the meditation method technique known as Zazen in Japanese is the key to achieving Samadhi, and that is where the spiritual mysteries are seen and known. I know Samadhi is a trigger word for a lot of the Zen Center students, but bear with me, this will be totally revealed to what it is and how easy it is to achieve it. In the West, we know this Samadhi as the Greek word Gnosis, meaning to know spiritual mysteries. Samadhi and Gnosis mean the same thing because they are the same thing. The Zen Center students believe that they have the exclusive knowledge of Samadhi that hasn't been invented or nobody knew about it before the Japanese did or before the Asians did, and this is completely not true. The ancient Greeks knew all about Gnosis, and it even came through into the Egyptians, and even prior to that. This is not something new. This is not something that was exclusive only to the Japanese or only in Zen. This is something that throughout all time and all recorded history of man, and that means the history that we know about, there was always a Gnosis, always a Samadhi being talked about. We know of Zen, or Zaochan in Chinese, as serene meditation. Here one stills oneself. That would be like to sit silently. To focus the mind inward. One can sit on a cushion, a bench, or in a chair. You could even sit in a lazy boy or lay down. It doesn't really matter. Here one lets thoughts, sensations, and feelings be seen as if they are distant waves on the ocean. Yes, you witness them forming and receding, and then that's all you can do, as if they are like distant waves on the ocean, because there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing you can change. One may calm the mind by simply following the natural breath of the body. And this is entering a slight hypnotic trance. Oh, look at this here. And this is where it all kind of starts. You enter this slight hypnotic trance. It's called an altered state of consciousness. Following the breath is not Zazen. It is not, but it is definitely part to get you there. The Zazen technique requires that one's eyes be open, or slightly open, to avoid falling into a dreamlike state, and to remain the conscious observer of oneself. Yes, you are like a third person watching your mind, watching the thoughts coming and going, the emotions rising and falling, and all phenomena around you. Achieving Samadhi Gnosis. Here again with the trigger words. One achieves Samadhi Gnosis, because it's the same thing. This is where you see with your spiritual eyes. Some people would call this the third eye. The spiritual eye. So, this is where you see with your spiritual eyes the true nature of all things, yourself, thoughts, and emotions, and all phenomena in the cosmos. With practice and skill, one can move deeper into Samadhi Gnosis to discover the spiritual mysteries and gain spiritual knowledge and wisdom. To delve deep into the Samadhi Gnosis is to transform yourself, and the only way to delve deeper is to cast off, to relinquish those things that bind you to this existence. And that is what happens with skill and practice. So as time goes on and you develop your skills, and with more practice, you start to relinquish. You also start to let go. You let go of position. You let go of status. You let go of so many things that you have defined yourself as. And as you let these things go, you move deeper and deeper and deeper. So Samadhi Gnosis is not just a one-time thing that you gain. And you say, aha, I'm here, I'm enlightened, at the end. Oh, no. That's just the beginning. So, when all is cast off, and you cannot find a single thing to relinquish, then you come to the precipice of enlightenment. That's right, you're standing at the very cliff. You can see it, but it looks like it's 1,000,000 miles away. This is where you discover the one thing you held on to all this time. And that's right, you will discover this all by yourself, that one last thing that's always been there, the one last thing that you held the most dearest, the thing that you thought you could never relinquish, the thing that would surprise you. And when you have the courage to let it go and step off the precipice, you are reborn. Oh yeah, it happens. Means and methods. The method of Zazen is only one method of achieving Samadhi Gnosis. And if you are a Zen Center student, this may shock you because you're not told this. Other methods are, and this includes within Japanese and Chinese Zen centers, pain, sitting in a full lotus position or other painful body postures. We know this, the full lotus position is a painful position for anybody. Chanting and mantras. Pure Land Buddhism goes into a religious fever, kind of a trance-like state with the mantras and chanting. You will also see this in Rinzai Buddhism. Zen drumming. Oh yes, I've seen a lot of Zen drumming. Singing. Yes, some Zen temples use singing. In fact, a lot of the Japanese Zen temples use singing. And the Christians love singing too. Martial arts. We all know of Kung Fu and karate and various other variations. Zen dancing. Yes, there is such a thing as Zen dancing as well. Hallucinogens. Many Zen monks drink sake. In fact, some of the most celebrated Zen patriarchs were renowned sake drinkers. Others would burn herbs and inhale the smoke. And this is another thing that most Zen students were never told about, is that in Japan to this very day, there's a lot of burning. I think it's called moax root. It's a slight hallucinogenic herb that is burned in the Zen temples. Zen monks were also known to visit brothels. So achieving Samadhi Gnosis may be easy enough. However, without a spiritual purpose, then no discovery of the spiritual treasures. Because I will hear of people in race car driving or swimming or in various athletic endeavors. You hear of a thing called runner's high. Various types of other events where people are achieving a state of gnosis, a state of samadhi. But without the spiritual purpose, there is no discovery of spiritual treasures. That's the difference. That's the key. All right, you have to believe. You have to believe that Samadhi Gnosis can happen to you, or else it will never happen at all. Many can spend a lifetime mastering all of the techniques of attaining Samadhi Gnosis, but never find it. It eludes them. Simply because they don't believe they can achieve it, or they just don't believe it exists, or they just don't believe, period. They don't even believe that Zen works. Whereas others who believe it with all their heart find Samadhi Gnosis with ease. And this is something where those that who don't believe, resent those who do. Zen is filled with stories of monks finding Samadhi Gnosis in the most peculiar way. A rock hitting a stick, a bark of a dog, a paradoxical statement, a koan, and so on. The stories are endless. And sometimes people call these a turning phrase or a keyword. And it's something where it just shatters one's, whatever they were holding on to, of their position of disbelief, their position of doubt. Sometimes a Zen teacher can work decades with a student trying to find that one instant where they can pierce through the doubt. Because, like I said, if you don't believe, it won't happen. Zen is beyond culture and customs. The Zen I talk about has nothing to do with Asian culture or customs. We can find entry points to Samadhi Gnosis in all cultures throughout the history of man. So the evidence is there that Zen is a methodology, not a cultural renaissance. With this methodology now understood, one can apply it anywhere at any time, in any culture or civilization. Even if we were to travel to a distant world and meet a sentient creature on another planet, this methodology would most likely be known to them because it's a universal methodology. The Buddha was called in his day the solar kinsman, meaning that his teaching is not just for a people or a place. His teaching is timeless, universal, and eternal. And you will be able, and if you look hard enough, you will find what the Buddha taught to be everywhere, in all places and at all times. It may have different names, may have different languages, but it is beyond culture, it is beyond customs, it is beyond a people, and it is beyond a location. Do not be fooled. Do not think that a culture, a form, a custom is enlightenment or is Zen or is the only way to achieve Samadhi. We'll end it with the Song of Zazen. The Song of Zazen. Boundless and free is the sky of Samadhi, bright the full moon of wisdom. Truly, is anything missing now? Nirvana is here before your eyes. This very place is the lotus land. This very body, the Buddha. And this was a famous Zen patriarch who wrote this. And as you can see, he's not talking about a culture. He's not talking about a custom. He's not talking about a people, a place, or a land. No. None of that is mentioned in any of this here. Why is that? How can Zazen be beyond all this? So, there it is. All right. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And if you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe.